My boyfriend had an unconventional and bizarre lifestyle, and I had to get revenge. I was married for nearly 19 years to a less than pleasant man, whom we'll call Silas. Silas had a history with a girl from high school named Valerie, who harbored deep feelings for him. Despite Silas not choosing her, Valerie couldn't seem to move on. Unbeknownst to me at the time, Silas had been emotionally manipulating and mistreating Valerie, feeding her lies and stories about me to gain her sympathy and fuel her animosity towards me. Valerie actively attempted to sabotage our marriage multiple times, going so far as to suggest that my inability to have children, following a stillborn delivery and several miscarriages, made me unfit to be a mother. She even subscribed me to baby magazines after another miscarriage, an act I discovered when I questioned the magazine subscription. Despite these challenges, my husband's betrayal, and Valerie's interference, I persevered. After the birth of our second son, Silas escalated his abuse and began pushing for lifestyle choices that made me profoundly uncomfortable. The situation reached a breaking point and I left, entrusting my children to my parents while legal matters were sorted out. During this time, Silas wasted no time reaching out to Valerie, who swiftly moved in with him before our divorce proceedings had even begun. As I embarked on a journey of self-discovery and independence, Silas and Valerie continued their relationship. Silas had previously purchased outfits and toys he envisioned me using with other men, which became a poignant reminder of a past I was leaving behind. As I purged my belongings while relocating closer to my parents, I stumbled upon this collection. In an act of closure and empowerment, I meticulously cleaned and packaged everything, placing it in a Victoria's Secret bag with Valerie's name on it. I then included it in a box of Silas's belongings, which I had my pastor and elder deliver to his doorstep. It was my way of letting go and granting Valerie the accessories she seemed so eager to inherit with my blessing. As a side note, Valerie eventually left Silas due to his abusive behavior. Despite her attempt to seek insights from me, I chose not to engage in psychoanalyzing my ex-husband. Some chapters are better left closed. I hope you found this story intriguing. My sister is talking to my ex-situationship and if I should do anything about it. I never thought that a day like this would ever happen to me. My name is Mary. Have been talking to this guy, let's call him David. Let me give you a bit of a backstory. David is a bit of a popular guy. Before I started uni, I already knew who he was and I had a bit of an interest in him as he was really attractive and charismatic. I remember myself even once joking about how I will one day date him. Forward to 3 or 4 months later when I started uni, he regularly came to my uni. He used to attend a different uni, but would come on his off days. And one day as I was talking to my guy friend, he made his way to us commenting on my guy friend's shirt. And then the three of us talked, and ever since we became friends, of course I never mentioned the crush part. I am not pretty at all, and I even consider myself a bit below average, not because I believe in beauty standards or anything, but I just know it. David has always talked to me about several girls he had a crush on at my uni, and I knew he had interest in my very pretty girlfriends, so I forgot all about my feelings towards him. It felt impossible. That's until one day he asked me to be his girlfriend in the most romantic way, and I rejected him right away. It was mainly because I felt like it was so fast, and the more I got to know him, there were so many turn-offs. Nevertheless, he never gave up and kept asking me, but I always rejected him. And it just became because I wanted to focus on my studies as my mental health degraded, and I couldn't do anything about it, so I cope with doing well academically, plus I don't open up to anyone, so he never knew anything about it, and he stopped showing to my uni as much. We texted here and there, returned phone calls, went on dates, held hands, but literally nothing else. He kept asking for me, but I still refused. One day I went on a date with him and we were attacked. The police got involved, had to come and rescue us. My sister knew about it, but nothing in detail, but she kept telling me about how he wasn't a man. My sister always tells me about how high her standards are, how she's such a conservative person, but that's not true. As every relationship of hers, she cheats or gets cheated on, and she would still stay in the relationship, as she talks about how she never does anything with her boyfriends when her nudes got leaked twice and a sex tape of hers, and I didn't even need to try to find it. I am a bit social person and have many friends, so maybe that's why. But I don't like the fact that she brings other men down to praise her little fantasy boys. She talks about how if the guy isn't at least 5 years or older than her, then he has no chance. This line will come later in handy. I didn't listen to her, nor did I bother to clear anything since our relationship is already bad. She kept comparing him to her boyfriend, who cheated on her multiple times, and he still is, which really made me laugh. I just told her David isn't at fault and left it at that. David and I went out on a date after it, and after my sister finished from her date, she decided to crash at ours, and we didn't mind since her and David get well along, although she backbites him 24/7. Mid-date they exchanged socials, and I didn't think much of it after it, David, and I gradually stopped talking as much. I didn't think much of it since we are nothing to each other technically, and I should move on, but I get it must be draining to have a one-sided relationship with someone, and he must be tired. He doesn't know what I am going through, as I don't talk about my feelings to anyone. Ever since David and I got a bit distant, my sister and I's relationship became relatively better. One day had to airdrop a picture to my phone from my sister's phone, and lo and behold I see him and one of the options to share the image with, and it really caught me off guard, so I kept my cool, went into my room, and logged into my sister's Instagram. I know it's wrong of me, and it's an invasion of privacy, but something in me really couldn't settle down. I logged in, and I did the half-slide thing on their chats, and to my horror I see a clearly half-sided conversation, her calling him things like Zaddy, and sexting him. To be fair, I didn't read the previous text, but she said, "Can't wait for you to come." I took a screenshot and quickly looked out. I mean, technically we are not together, and I do not own him. I am just mad at my sister. How could she? I am not jealous or anything. I am just purely disappointed and disgusted, considering that this is not even her first time. She did it before, but not really. She just asked my ex out, and he said no. It's been 2 weeks, and I thought of taking revenge by exposing her to her now boyfriend. But then what? Revenge won't do me anything. I thought of talking to her other side chick, but I will never go out of my way to a guy and use him just for revenge. I am moving out soon, as I am changing universities, so I was thinking about when I travel I send her the conversation, as in I know what happened, and completely cut her off, because I want nothing to do with her. I might be overreacting, but this thing just can't get over my head. A story of revenge. I used to house share. This means that I was living in a house with 5 other people. Now this was probably the worst years of my life, as to be honest. They were all lazy, never washed up, didn't clean, which meant I had to do it all. I couldn't move out at the time due to a lack of money. Now my birthday came up. Like usual, I got cards through the post. None of the people in the house even said happy birthday, which sucks, but it is what it is, I guess. Everything was good, until my mom texted me saying, "Dropped your card round." I was outside at the time, so I replied, "Oh, okay, thanks." I finally got home and there was nothing, so I asked the people who I was living, "Did my mom drop a card round?" None of them said yes, so I was alright. Texted my mom, "You sure it was the right address?" She replied, "Yes," and sent a vid of her doing it with happy birthday filters on, which I was like, alright, and said, "I received it, thanks X," just to not worry her. Now I waited around 3 days and more texts was like, "Did you like the card I sent you?" And I was like, whiff, I only received 2 and now got like 11 people texting me, so I knew that somebody was stealing them. Anyway, I needed to find out who was doing it, but didn't know how, so I left it for a few days. One day as I was walking past a shop, I noticed that they were selling party poppers. I had a thought that if I put a party popper in a letter, attached it to the sticky part, in a certain position, that it would explode and I would hear the noise and be alerted and finally catch the thief. So I got a card and envelope, also put a £5 note in and put my details on it, with stamp, and assembled it with the party popper and posted it through the letterbox. Now it was the waiting game. I set up a hidden camera via my phone by the door and watched the camera through my Apple Watch, ready to see. My roommate walked past it, went up to our room and said that I have a letter downstairs. I replied, "I know, someone's been stealing my letters and am trying to find out who it was." She was immediately interested and wanted to help, so we waited around 30 minutes until the thief found it. He picked it up in one hand as he had coffee in the other. Boom, he dropped his coffee. It landed on his foot, and you could hear him from downstairs shouting, "Ah!" I assume from the burning hot coffee, and pocketed the £5. Me and my roommate ran downstairs and I said, "What's going on?" He replied, "A card came for you, but I accidentally dropped my coffee and there was this party popper thing in it." My roommate said, "Well, why are you opening Anna's card?" And he replied, "I thought it was addressed to me. It said my name on it very big and had caps, haha." So he was blatantly lying unless we had the same name, of which we don't. I got super mad and replied that he was a thief and pocketed the £5, of which by this time other housemates were downstairs watching. We got him to turn out his pockets and the £5 note was in there. He tried to reply that this doesn't mean anything. So we went into his room and believe it or not, a whole pile of my cards were on his desk. And well, yeah, we never trusted him again, and he ended up getting kicked out of university and had to leave the house. Red Revenge? My name Julian Dreamer, and it was the last week of school when it all happened, but let us start from the beginning. As a reminder, homework is due Monday, and I hope you all have a nice weekend. Class dismissed, said Miss Mayhill. I get up from my desk with a sigh as I headed to the door, dreading the thought of homework on the weekend, having to write a 1,000-word essay. As I walk out of class, I hear a voice call out, "Oi, Dreamer, over here, dumbass." The voice said. I turn my head to see my friend Taro running to me. "Sup," I say. "Have you heard that Alex has a new boy toy?" Taro said with a sad look on his face. Zeno sneaks up behind us and said, "Oh, you mad that she didn't pick you as her new boy toy and you thought she likes you? So sad. I mean, she did kiss you that one time, but you guys were drunk as fuck." Taro snaps back, "Zin, and I swear to God if you don't shut up I'm goy." He was cut off by Mark running into him as they both fall to the floor. I started laughing until my sides hurt. Then Scene, Sushi, and JG walk up. Taro and Mark get up, then Mark walks to Scene and gives him a kiss in the cheek. "The gang's all here, let's go," I say with tears in my eyes. We all start to head to the front doors of the high school as we try to figure out what to do. We all get into J-Truck. Scene starts to talk about the plans, so we head to the skate park for 2 hours, then the arcade for 1. After that we go to Taco Bell. We give Sushi our orders, then sit down. Then Zenon's phone rings. He gets up to go outside. Sushi comes back and sits down. "Where's Zenon?" Sushi asks. "Outside on the phone," JJ said with a sigh. Sushi gets up and grabs the food, then Zenon comes back inside and sits down. After 30 minutes I get a phone call from the police. I pick it up. "Me. Hello, cop. Yes, is this Julian Dreamer?" "Me. Yes, I am." "Cop, I have bad news concerning your father." "Me. What happened, officer?" "Cop, we got a call from your mother finding the body of your father in your home." "I'm." "Me. No, he can't be. I see him this morning." No, cop. "Sir, I'm sorry for your loss." I hang up the phone, Sushi holding me in his arms as I cry in anger. Who would do this? My father was a nice person, and why is my mother at my house? That bitch. She did it. She is the only person who hates my father. I thought as my friends ask me what happened. I tell them what happened. Sushi asks JJ for the keys to the truck. To be continued. Real story. Abusive roommate thought my severe depression was bullshit and took it upon himself to make my life even more unbearable. Too bad for him, he was faking his employment for immigration purposes, and I denounced him. That and also some extra, in the moment, petty revenge. Before continuing, I recommend subscribing to my channel. Thanks. I have bipolar disorder and mild autism. Before diagnosis and medication, I would have these intense bouts of depression or mania, but I would always attribute it to my current living situation. My last job was a sales job, and I only lasted 3 months before my weak-ass social skills were exposed and ridiculed. Frankly put, I was way too introverted to be a salesman. It's even more embarrassing when I remember how confident I was going into the job. I was on the end of a manic phase. So now, after that experience, I was at the bottom of the barrel and started slipping into a severe depression, and after a while I was having regular suicidal thoughts. I started therapy. My roommate objected. He said therapy is a scam and mental illness is just something you can simply shake off, and that I just need to use the money for my therapy to go on vacation. Clearly there was something off with his thinking, but we didn't argue further at that point. Every day I was miserable, could barely get out of bed and felt completely dead inside. After a couple weeks he got tired of it and started harassing me. "If you're gonna kill yourself, at least give me some money before you do." You're not sick, you're just lazy and weak. I don't even believe you're suicidal. Don't lock the front door before leaving the house. No one is gonna break in. You're stupid for doing that, asterisk asterisk. On that one his tone was super judgmental. Trying to order me around, asterisk asterisk. Asterisk asterisk leaves the knives out on the counter. I tell him not to and that the knives are mine. That tells me to fuck off and that he'll do whatever he wants. I took the knives back to my room cause they're mine after all, and also they made me think of cutting myself. He then went and bought cheap-ass dollar store knives and put them on the counter, asterisk asterisk. This is just a game you're playing, you want attention. Asterisk asterisk I accidentally dropped a bedsheet on the floor, comes in the room right after. Immediately starts to literally yell at the top of his lungs at me over that bedsheet, and how I purposely dropped it to spite him. I did no such thing. I was trying to explain, but I couldn't do it over him yelling. He was at max volume over a fucking bedsheet, asterisk asterisk. Asterisk asterisk while riding in his car. I'm in the passenger seat with takeout food we bought. I had been friends with him for over 2 years, and I never dropped anything ever in his car. I almost dropped one of the bags and he exploded at me, even worse. When I told him to chill out and that this never happened before, he just got more mad at me for even talking back. He even said the words, "Don't talk back to me, this is my car, asterisk asterisk." Asterisk asterisk while smoking weed, passes the joint to another person while I was next. I tell him it's my turn. He starts telling me I'm wrong and stupid, asterisk asterisk. That was the last straw. I was completely blinded by rage. Soon after the weed incident, I did some minor damage to his car, broke the /C he had in his room, and burned a bunch of his mail in my bathroom sink, including a letter that was telling him to pay a fine for parking ticket. Now here's some important stuff to know about this guy. He used to sell credit cards, but often would lie to the customer, telling him or her that it was just a gift card they were getting. He was a door-to-door salesman for about a year. He would sit in his car with his buddies all day and just do the minimum amount of sales to not get fired, while pocketing a good base salary. Eventually he got fired anyway. He was pretending to be a manager at a company owned by his friend's uncle. He had them pay him a salary, and he would repay them, with intention of getting approved for his permanent residence. So in conclusion, about a week after moving out, I called immigration and gave them his name, address, the details of his fake employment, etc. That was 2 years ago. I have no idea what happened to him since. Revenge story with a twist. Right from the start of my schooling, I was very easily scared and never really fought back. I had 5 friends who lived near me, went to the same school, etc. They were my best friends and I loved them. It is really easy for me to get jump scared, and when someone scares me, I would basically go into flight mode and run away at full speed, screaming like the lil bitch I am. My friends realized I have this special talent to get scared shitless from the smallest of thing. So they used this and jump scared me whenever they saw an opportunity. I'm talking at parties, in school, at each other's homes, everywhere. I always took it with a pinch of salt. I wouldn't call it bullying cause they were my best friends and I knew they had good intentions and never meant any harm. Also, it's pretty hilarious to watch your best friend run away screaming his head off. This lasted from the ages 6 to 9, and most of my 10th year on this planet. To be more specific, it lasted right up until the 10th Halloween party. Now this might sound shocking, but I loved Halloween and everything about it. Yeah, I know I'm kinda weird. Anyways, during this Halloween party out, 6 families came to our house for a party as usual. Our parents were also close and our families went to each house to celebrate a festival. For example, if Halloween was celebrated in friend 1 house, then Christmas would be celebrated in friend 2 house, and the cycle continues. We having fun, we were gonna start the costume competition and everything was going fine and all was good with life. Just before we could go to eat, I went to the restroom and my friends decided this was a wonderful opportunity to jump scare me. So one of them, Jacob, hid in a dark doorway. The lights to the room were off, just a few feet ahead of the restroom. And according to them, the plan was that as soon as I walked out, they would start calling me, and I would hurry up and walk past the room where Jacob was hiding, and then he would jump out and scare the living daylights out of me. It's a pretty decent plan, taking into account that we were just stupid 10-year-olds. Anyways, I finish my business and walk out to hear them calling my name, causing me to run down the hallway, and then Jacob grabbed my arm from the dark room, But then something in me snapped, and I did not run, I did not scream. Just swung around and slugged him square on the nose. He had a mask on, and as he was falling, I jumped on top and swung again. The very next second, I realized what I had done and got off him and helped him get his mask off. It was then that I saw what I had actually done. His entire face was covered in blood. That was kinda satisfying, but I felt super guilty. My dad cleaned him up, and Jacob came to me and lifted my hand like I was some sort of boxer who had just won a match. He was really happy that I had defended myself and wore his blood costume for the rest of the night. That only made me feel more guilty, and honestly, I was shocked cause he handled the situation so well. Jacob and the rest of us still meet up now 10 years later. It's probably not like the other revenge stories here, but I felt like sharing my revenge story with a slight twist. 2. I'm on mobile, so sorry if there are any problems.